Hello viewers, it's Peter Elgar, the funny old British photographer again. This time I'm going to talk about my experiences with disastrous weddings. Now in my time I've done hundreds of weddings, and there's one or two which came out as a disaster. Now the first one is, people often ask me, have you ever had a wedding spoilt which is your fault? And the answer is no. But I've had a wedding spoilt which was a studio's processing fault. I did a wedding for the young receptionist at the Brentwood Gazette years ago called Frances, I remember. And I rushed the film to the processing house I used in Bark in Essex. And after I got back to the house where I live, there was a phone call from one of the partners there, and he says, Peter, he says, can you go back to reshoot that wedding? I said, no. I said, I've just done all the reception, the guests are all leaving already. He said, oh, he said, we've had a bit of a disaster here. Everybody's film was fogged. Oh my godfathers. They'd taken on a youngster and he'd switched on the light as everybody's films were hanging up in the dip and dunk machine. You know, you get these loads and loads of 120 films hanging up before it goes into the next bath. They was all hanging out of the developer, ready to go into the bleach. He switched the light on and they was all fogged. I got my negatives back the other day. It was black. Oh, I could see vaguely some shapes. I had to tell the girl, sorry, I said, the processing house has cocked up your wedding photo. Oh dear, she said, what can you do? I said, I'll try and do some black and white prints. So I had to put them in the enlarger and crank up the lamp and try and get a few black and white prints out of it. But I got about 3 or 4 prints out of the whole rolls of film. I was on 2 1/4 square. That's the first and only time I've had a processing cock up. Now the second one is, I was warned, don't do an Irish wedding. I said, why not? They say they usually end up in a fight. I said, no, I've never had that. No, well, go ahead then, because I booked an Irish wedding in Barking in Essex. That's when I lived in East Ham. So I turned up to the Catholic church down the side street just before the time, and an old couple came up to me, and they said in this Irish accent, it's just a 2:30 wedding. I said, yeah, that's right. Oh, she says, come along, Patrick, there's time for a quick one yet. So they went off to the pub, and they must have got so drunk I didn't see them anymore. But anyway, I did the wedding photographs in the church and pictures at the reception and everything. I rushed back home. My mum said, we have a cup of tea, son? Oh, yes, please, mum. While I was processing up my films, all black and white, remember, under the enlarger, get a whole plate print, put a penny on it, so you can write a number on the space, do all that, and quick fix them, quick wash, put them in a dish and rush back to the reception with them all damp. And when I got the hall, there was a police van outside, which we used to call the Black Maria, and an ambulance. I thought, what's happened? Then I saw the best man was being taken off in handcuffs, put into the police van. And the bridegroom was being carried out on a stretcher, being taken into the ambulance. Oh dear, what's ever happened? So I gingerly approached the door and I looked in at the hall, and the place was all awash with smashed crockery. There was turned over tables. It's true, there had been a big fight. But as soon as the guests saw me, they all came rushing over. They said, are you the faulty man? And I said, yeah, cool. Where's the photos then? They wanted to see the photographs of this wedding, and so I laid them all out, and they gave me some orders. I don't remember that, but what happened to the bridegroom and the best man, I don't know, but I did get some orders from that Irish wedding. Oh dear, it's true, it always ended up in a fight. Well then, I did a wedding at Billericay. This girl was interested in horse riding. She said, I'm going to have a special cake and I want a nice photograph with the cake. I said, all right, do that. So we got to the hall, and there's the cake. Huge, great big cake with about 4 tiers. And on the top was a little scene of horses with a little corral and all little model horses and stuff in with a green icing, like a field, all lovely it was. So I thought, oh, I'll take a picture of the cake on its own, because she wanted a record. Then I called them over. They was at the bar. Now with British weddings, it's terrible. As soon as they come out of the church and into the reception, the first thing they want to do is get to the bar, start drinking with all their mates and start smoking. That's all they think about. They don't think about the poor blasted photographer trying to do his job anymore. Dreadful it is. So I kept calling them, and the bridegroom says, wait a minute, Squire. He said, wait a minute, you wait there, we'll come over in a minute when we're done. I thought, oh, blimey. So I hung around. Suddenly, two old ladies came up looking at the cake, and one of them says, oh, what a lovely cake. And as she lifted up her walking stick, she turned round to show her mate and knocked the top of the cake off. It went plonk on the floor. Oh my God. All the model horses and all the corral, it was all smashed, and all the cake was all mangled up. I had to sort of scoop it up off the floor and plonk it back on its pedestals and try and rearrange all the smashed horses and stuff. And then when the bridegroom finally came over, they saw the cake all smashed. I said, it wasn't me, it was that old lady. Oh dear, she burst into tears. I said, I kept asking you to come over for a photograph of the cake, but you made me wait because you didn't want your photograph done. There we are. That wasn't my fault again. It's terrible with British weddings. You struggle to take 36 shots. But when I got married in the Philippines, I couldn't believe it. In the Philippines, everybody wants photographs, and you run out of film. And when I got married in 1995, my Mecca Blitz got red hot. It took so many flashes and it ran out of battery power. So then I was friends with a local millionaire who was a scrap metal dealer called Ernie Hewlett, I remember. And he lived in a mansion place in not far from the Brentwood Town Centre. And he ran this big scrap metal dealership. And I did one or two jobs for him, and his wife would always give me cheese rolls when I went there to do press pictures of him. Anyway, he booked me for a wedding, his eldest son's wedding. He had two sons and a daughter. So it was the one who was going to take his business, the eldest son. So I did the wedding at Langton's registry office. And then I was waiting and waiting for a week, and then suddenly I got a message saying there'd been a terrible thing happened. The best man had taken out the bridegroom in a car, and they're going a bit mad round the country lanes here in Brentwood, and he skidded and smashed into a tree and killed the eldest son. Now, the best man wasn't killed, but it was the eldest son, the bridegroom, was killed. So the poor girl he married was a widow after a week. Oh my God, I've never had anything happen. But Ernie contacted me, gone a bit funny by this time, and with the shock. He says, I want you to take out all those pictures with him in, meaning the bridegroom. Now, this was well before digital, Photoshop wasn't invented. It was all on film. I had the colour prints, and I'd have to get some dyes and paint on some trees where the bridegroom was standing, and bring the trees over and paint on top of him some green trees to get rid of the bridegroom. I managed it, and I actually got an order, and they ordered a big canvas picture of the groom and the bride, 20 by 16 canvas they did. And then after that, he went a bit funny, Ernie did. He was driving around in his Rolls Royce with his wedding gear on for some months later. And suddenly, some months later, he contacted me again. The daughter's getting married. Oh my God, not enough more trouble. He said, can you do my daughter's wedding? I said, what date is it? He said, oh, June, whenever it was. I said, oh, Ernie, I said, I booked a wedding at Rayleigh in Essex for that same day. I said, I've taken a deposit and everything. He said, I wanted you to do this, my daughter's wedding. I said, I can't, Ernie, I can't let the people down. It's unprofessional. Oh, he was so upset I couldn't do his daughter's wedding. I don't know who he got, but anyway, I went off to Rayleigh and knocked at the house. I'm the photographer. Come in. I was sitting there busy loading up my lolly flex. I used a lolly at that time. And suddenly there was a knock at the door. And I went to the door because I was all busy. And there was the vicar standing there with his dog collar. He said, lady of the house. I said, yes, wait a minute. I called the mother over. He says, I've got some bad news. What's that, she said? He said, he's not going through with it. He's not turning up. That means the bridegroom. Oh my God, Father, the bridesmaids heard this. They all burst into tears. All their mascara started running. Then the bride came along with her dress on. He's not turning up. He's not going through with it. Oh dear, oh dear. I started crying. All the mascara running down her face. I thought, I've given up Ernie's, the millionaire's wedding for this. And all I've got was 25 quid deposit. And that's all I got from them. Because the bridegroom didn't want to go through with it. He didn't turn up. Oh my God, fathers. Then the other one is floods. Summer storms. Often in England here you're supposed to have nice weather in the summer, but often that's the season for summer storms. So I booked this wedding. I forget where it was it was on the South End Road off the A127, the South End Road, I remember. The church. And I had a Morris 1000 traveller car, one with all the wood on it at the time, and it was cream. And I went there, got to the church, and it was raining. Suddenly the heavens opened and it pelted down with rain and rain and rain, thunder and lightning. Oh my God, then down the road came a wash of flood water, about over a foot deep. And where it came from, it came down the road, it went over into my car as well, parked up. So then the bride was waiting there, and it got to the time the bridegroom and best man hadn't turned up. Then the vicar came out. He says, if you can't get here by 5 o'clock, he said, I'm not allowed to marry you. I think it says 5 o'clock. There's a special time when they're not allowed to marry. He said, I can't marry you. If they're not here by this time, I'm not allowed to marry you. Oh dear, the bride burst into tears. All her mascara started running down the face. And my car was all flooded out. I was trying to bail it out. I thought, oh my God, what a flipping wedding. All damage to my car as well. And suddenly, down the road came wading through this floodwater 2 figures. It was the bridegroom and the best man. And they had their wedding suit on, all their grey suits and posh ties and rosettes. But their half up to their knees was soaked with flood water. They'd have to abandon a car and wade through the flood water to get to the church. So they had to do the wedding standing there, all in flooded trousers, and the bride was all mascara all run down her face, and the vicar just did it in time. So that's the trouble with these weddings. You often get a disastrous one. But remember, don't do an Irish one, because they always end up in a fight. It's true. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe. And down below there's a little bell thing, and if you press on that, you'll get notified when there's another one of my videos. I hope you enjoy them. Thanks for watching.